Hi. All right, you guys, thank you so much for coming here. And as anybody coming trickle down, if you guys want to just let them scooch in. Thank you so much for coming on this incredibly hot morning. I'm sure you guys have been freezing, so thank you for being here with me. And bear with me, I get really filled with energy, so I might move around a lot. And it kind of helps me keep warm because I get cold easily. So thank you again for coming here. We're really going to talk about effective strategies that help you build a reputable and captivating brand. And I want to start with a story. On April 17, 2017, a mother went in for a regular pregnancy checkup. That turned into an emergency hospitalization because she had severe preeclampsia. A few days later, she got water in her lungs, and her little child and herself were in danger. So what happened is that she had to deliver her baby at 26 weeks, 6 days. Typically, most moms have their babies around 40 weeks. So this tiny miracle was born at 1 pound, 13 ounces. A couple of days after being born, so you can see how tiny he is, he had a rupture in his intestines, which meant he had to get an emergency operation where they had to cut his little intestines and open up his bowel, so he ended up with an ostomy bag. That was his first of 5 surgeries while he was in the NICU for almost 4 months. And as you can see how tiny he was in comparison to Dad's hands. So some of these are a little pixelated. Mom couldn't get better pictures because obviously they were from the phone. But you see, when we tell stories and we start by just telling but not showing, it's so hard to captivate the audience. It's so hard to express something that is so hard to understand. 1 in 10 babies are born premature. This little guy was born what we call a micropreemie, which is very, very, very tiny. He could fit into Dad's hands, which is a lot bigger than me. There's 15 million babies a year that are born prematurely. Out of those 15 million, nearly 1 million don't make it past their first year. So why am I sharing this? If I was trying to raise awareness for a particular cause, if I started by just showing you these graphics and started telling you this data, which statistics are very important, but if I share with you just a statistic, people who don't really understand how small and tiny a baby can be, when you add a visual, it helps you understand what you're trying to communicate. It brings in that emotional aspect to your brand. Now, every brand might not be doing this, but this is what I wanted to start with. We start with stories, and we use visuals to really drive in that emotion. Now, you can raise more awareness by sharing these things. People are more compelled to understand this is something that's very real, and some people might be inclined to go and do more research and look into March of Dimes. And so this is how we need to think about when we do stories. Stories with narrative are compelling. Right? When we hear stories, or we might listen to audiobooks, or listen to music, these all just grab our senses, right? They make us feel something. But when you have stories with visuals, you can captivate and connect with people. And it's all about those emotions that are connected to this. So, I never like to start my talks with who I am, what I do. But here it is. This is me, Necte Cuevas. I've been very blessed to work with some really amazing brands that have served a lot of small businesses, and I've also worked with a lot of small companies. What I've done from my past experience in corporate world is I really infuse that into helping smaller businesses implement those strategies. I really help small businesses think like big companies, and a lot of these points are driving this emotion on how people feel so stuck. How am I going to stand out in this busy market where everyone's sharing this, and that? How am I going to stand out? And this is how I do it. But this is not going to be about me. You guys are not here to see my work, hear what I have to say. I'm really here to share value for you guys and things that you guys can apply. So I had messaged you guys through the app and asked you what you guys wanted to get out of this presentation. I tried to message as much as people were signing up. And there were 3 things that really stood out to me, and I will share those in just a second. But really, I'm here to talk about how you can leverage your uniqueness, how you can captivate with intention, and how you can develop brand continuity. Essentially, brand continuity is your brand consistency. How can you build that across the board? So with these questions that I had asked you guys, there were 3 quick answers that people kept saying. And the responses were, we're looking for more work opportunities. Who's trying to get more clients or more work here, right? Hopefully everybody is, right? So So another answer, which I really loved, is we're looking to develop a compelling brand position that engages with our audience. This is almost everybody, right? We're really trying to engage and connect with our audience. And the third one, we enjoy learning about branding, social media, and marketing. I think this one's the most phenomenal one because in order for you to grow your brand, you have to be self-aware. You have to really just humble yourself in a way that you want to learn and keep growing and keep adjusting your brand as you are learning yourself and you're growing. So you guys are all in the right place to really learn about these strategies. And before I get into really deep into all about branding, I want to start with some branding truths that I've learned over the years. It really takes less than 2 seconds for people to form that first impression, right? This means if I showed up looking like this, you guys laugh, but it's true. Sometimes if you guys have never met me and I show up looking like this, you would have a hard time thinking that you could trust me with the value and the insight that I have, right? So this is sometimes how we dress our brands. We show up with different fonts, different colors, different messages. We show up in one platform talking like this, all very poised, and then in another one, I'm like, hey, yo, what's up? Completely different brand personalities, right? So this is how we show up. And it's so hard sometimes to have people understand that unless you add the visual component. So no one would like to come out like this looking in public. Unless it's Halloween, maybe then we can erase that, right? But typically we don't want our brands to look like this. And that's why I'm saying it's those 2 seconds that are so valuable, especially for those of you who's on social media here, right? Okay, a lot of you guys. Everyone's scrolling. So how are we going to captivate that attention if we show up like this, or we show up inconsistent? One day we look like one thing, and another day I look like something completely different, right? So this is what we do in our brands. Second branding truth. Pretty designs without brand strategy hold no emotional value. What I mean is that my background is with graphic design. I've done a lot of branding work and rebranding throughout the years, and what I learned is that sometimes brands, when they reach out to a designer and they don't incorporate them from the very beginning, it's just like, just do a pretty design. I just need something really quick. But the problem with that is that you can have a pretty design, but if it doesn't align with your brand and what you're doing and your mission, what purpose does that serve you? What if you get a brand new, build it on a trend? Let's say everyone is using handwritten fonts and with gold speckles and this and that, and you're in the tech industry. Say, hey, maybe this might be a good thing since everyone's using it. This is an extreme example. I know you guys make better judgments. But sometimes we do these things. We're tempted by trends to follow a trend and not really align with our brand. So if I was to create something like that and Photoshop the world out of this weird looking banana shopping, it tells you nothing. All it tells you is that I'm confused. I don't know what she's talking about. I think I regret coming to this conversation. Let me just leave. Those are the things that can go into your mind. Branding truth number 3. Branding requires you to constantly be aware. Remember how I just talked about that self-awareness? For yourself, you hold, right? But you also got to do it for your brand. You also got to see what's working, what's not working, and then you got to take action. Once you know what's working, what's not working, you put plans in place, right? You have your marketing plan. You look and you talk to your team. What can we do? What can we implement? Where are our weaknesses? What do we need to do to implement this? Branding, to me, is constant action. You don't just brand and you're good. You're coasting. You're on the way to like $20 million sales tomorrow. That doesn't happen. You have to keep at it, keep going, keep communicating, and keep learning. So we're going to talk about the first part is how you can leverage your uniqueness. So a lot of this part is things you guys have probably already heard. So I don't want to spend all the bulk of the information on this. It's going to be more of an overview, but with a twist. So you want to have brand clarity. You want to understand your audience, obviously, and you want to know your goals. So brand clarity. You want to be very, very, very clear about what your brand stands for, right? So once we start to brand ourselves or we go in business, we typically define our brand mission, our vision, what our positioning is, and we have marketing plan, etc., right? But sometimes we don't really see what are the areas that we don't want to go in. We don't define, right? So once we don't start seeing results, we're so tempted to say, hey, what if we launch this other product or other service that might get us closer to the audience? You're not really testing long enough to know if that's working or what's not working. So you gotta be flexible. This part is the part that I'm really excited about because personal and corporate brands, they both need clarity. So a lot of people feel like personal is just about the person, and corporate brands are big organizational brands, nonprofits, all of these, right? But there's a lot of overlap in these. So over all these years and decades that I've been working with brands, I've learned that if personal brands can implement what corporate brands do, and what corporate brands can implement some of the personal things that personal brands do, that approachability, that being raw and authentic, there's that synergy that you can achieve. You just gotta do it in a way that matters to your brand and aligns with you. So corporate brands really need to extend their brand values into their brand culture. Anyone you hire into your company needs to understand those values, but also be excited about it, right? So you want to have people who are there, who love working there, because guess what? They also become brand ambassadors. People go and share, say, oh my gosh, I love working with this company, I love what we're doing, and then other people hearing this, that word of mouth, right? And that is so important. Personal brands, while they focus on the person and the individual, I really hope that if you guys build a personal brand, when it grows to the point where you have to hire people and it becomes a company, you need to think the way that corporations do it, where they start to infuse that culture in that company and how that trickles down, right? So there can be some overlap. If you have a personal brand that turns into a company, there's things that can be aligned. So why did that personal brand start the company, or even with corporations, nonprofits? Sometimes people start a nonprofit out of a need, out of something that happened. You look at the breast cancer awareness, right? It was started because of someone personally related that went through breast cancer, and that's how it started. It started this whole movement. So there is a personal connection between brands in that way, and that's what you need to think about. You want to know how your brand connects on an emotional level, and I feel like this is the part where brands sometimes struggle trying to capture and understand, and it takes a lot of work, but the work is in listening. You want to think about things that really make your brand different. So from what I was hearing with everybody's industries, they're very different, right? So we have a wide range of industries, which is great, but you need to think about how your brand is unique to others. There might be someone who offers the same services as you, but how are your processes? How is your onboarding? How's your client experience different to the other person? So you start to nitpick and think about what ways you can differentiate yourself, right? So think about things where it drives deep into the emotion. Does your brand make a difference in the person's lives, right? So let's take an example. There's a teacher named Mary, and she discovered a brand that if you purchase one shoe, they'll go and donate another shoe to someone else in need in a rural part of the world. Mary's really compelled by that, so she decides to buy 2 more pairs of shoes, and what she does is she gives 2 pairs to some of her students who come from very humble beginnings, and now she's got 3 pairs of shoes that she knows is going to go and help someone else across the world. What happens is Glenn then sends her a personal message and says, hey Mary, thank you so much for purchasing those 3 shoes. Now we have Maria, Jose, and Joaquin out in Guatemala now have shoes that cover their feet as they walk 5 miles to go to school. When you hear that, just that purchase makes you feel like you did something, right? So when we purchase based on emotion. And we sometimes do it consciously, or sometimes we don't. Let's say Apple, I'm not biased, but kind of. I love the Apple products. I know there's a certain level of technology that aligns with my industry in that. And some people are so connected to that company and to that brand that the new iPhone comes out, they have to get it. So in that sense, that feeling that goes with that, they just want to be a part of a cool tech company or something that everyone's getting, right? That's still part of the emotional aspect. Again, it's that sense of belonging. We want to be a part of a group. We may want to feel, let's say we're going through a lot of frustrations and anxieties, and you're a mother that is trying to balance so much work, kids, house, her husband, bless you, cook for the husband, and you just want some downtime to yourself, and you just don't know you don't have time. Here comes this magical product called Roomba that helps you sweep and vacuum, cuts down some time for you. But that taps into feeling less anxiety, right? That ties into a deep emotional value that sometimes people don't know they have, but if you listen and you pay attention to the conversations they have, magic can happen. There's so many different levels. I'm trying to give you guys a broad overview that you can think about in your industry. And I want to make sure I leave some time for questions that I can address in these. So when you try to market to the world, or even to all of San Antonio, you market to no one. You really need to connect with the right people. But it's going beyond, hey, I really want to target you and your likes and your wants and your age group. There's so much more to that. Really get to know that person, and don't just come up with a persona. This is what she is, her age. No, really get to know that person. You want to understand their emotions, and how do you understand their emotions? You sit down and have a conversation with them. One of the great things about here in San Antonio is that you guys are so connected with the community. I'm a military spouse, so I move around a lot, and I miss that. And here you guys are so connected, so supportive, and this is why I love this whole startup concept, because everyone's here to empower each other. So have a conversation. If you're trying to target the local market, go and invite someone to coffee, and don't do that, I'm gonna pick your brain. I just wanna have a conversation. I wanna hear what you have to say. And just make it a conversation, not I'm trying to see what makes her buy, or what's gonna make her wanna have a rebrand, or no, don't think like that. Just have genuine conversations. You'd be surprised how much you can learn for free by doing that. Listening allows you to develop empathy. And I'm not saying empathy, let's sit down and have a good cry together. I'm a very empathetic person when it comes to branding and as myself. But I really try to think about how can we harness that empathy into the brand or the mission of the products and services. How can that product bring that people that are using it joy? How can it make them feel better about themselves? How can it align with those personal values? What do people want? What do people crave? Do they want less stress, more time with family? They want to be in a job that makes them feel excited to go to? They want to see other people happy using the products that they have? These are all things that tie into the emotions. Once we start to think about these emotions, we start to think about things different. We want to make people feel understood. I can't just come to someone I have not met before and say, hey, I'm Nick Tate. You should totally hire me to do your logo. Hi, I'm Nick Tate. You should totally hire me to do. But you know what I have done? I have not spent 1 second getting to know them, listening to what their needs are. They may not need a logo. They may not need branding services. They may be just here to get more knowledge and inspiration. But here I am. I'm trying to sell them. And I haven't done my due diligence to just sit back, listen, have a conversation. And this really does influence your brand reputation. So if you just go sell without trying to get to know people, that gets around. So think about those genuine conversations that you want to have with people. When you listen and you use that to share content based on a conversation or something you constantly hear, someone's gonna feel like, man, has she been picking my brain? I totally feel like this. And that's what we want to do with brands. As we brand ourselves, as we use our communication from visuals to our messaging, we want to make people feel like understood, that someone took the time to listen to what our needs were, and they give us something of value. So, for those of you guys who are familiar with Simon Sinek, have you guys heard this quote? Okay, so they say people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So very true. However, what's happened is that everyone, and my abuelita, uses this quote now. And so everyone's saying, this is my why, this is my why, this is my why, but they don't show it, right? So we can say what our why is, and it can sound so great. How are we showing our why? How are we showing our why? Are we building that emotion into our why? Or are we just talking about it? So you want to think about these emotional triggers that are connected to your brand mission and that why. So think about how you can capture your audience in that way from those stories that I was telling about Mary who bought those shoes. So then you can think about these shoes, right? So I'm talking about the brand Toms, if you guys don't know. I try to keep it generic just to give you guys an idea, but people who are aware of that brand and they go share it with someone else, but they feel good. They feel good that their purchase helps someone else that they may not have quick access to. So think about those things. These are things that even your brand can be involved in. You can help a local organization here and say, some of our efforts really go and help a women's shelter locally, or we go and bring food in shelters. So think about those things, how you can bring your brand culture, your vision, and your values, align with that. Again, you don't want to just say why, you want to show it. Show it, show it, show it. And everyone in your company needs to be very aware of that and embrace that. So, I will talk about this in the end, but everyone here, when we do our ideal client, has anyone ever done their red flag clients that they don't really want to work with? Has anyone ever given that any thought? Oh great, I love that. So what I've learned is that when you really know who you don't want to work with, that is so helpful because you're not going to waste your time on a person that's really not your ideal client. You can invest it in the right people. So this is from one of my courses that I have with LinkedIn, and I'll give you guys a link to that. If you can download it, it's a PDF, you can download it and add your own. So here we have Petronilo, who you can give him a name and look into the communication behavior. So I don't want to spend so much time into that because you can watch that on the video. It's like 2 minutes long. But you want to think about their communication behaviors. What are some things that your red flag clients have told you that you know this is not aligned with me? So I need it done yesterday. I need you to do me a global in like 5 minutes. It should be super quick. You should be just able to whip it out in a minute, right? Where do they network? Obviously this guy networks out in space. He wants to dominate the world. I'm exaggerating, but to give you guys ideas of how they communicate. There's little points that you can pull into their frustrations and challenges. Sometimes people expect you to be there at the beck and call, right? Even when we have products, right? Someone may have purchased let's say I bought the Mac, and all of a sudden my Mac is freaking out, it's not working, and then I get mad and I'm contacting Apple Care support. People get upset, right? And so there's some things that you can start to see if there's a certain question that keeps popping up, then you can train your company or people who are aligned with that to have a better response. So when people are saying, oh, you just create terrible products, I spent so much money, then you can have people say, I'm so sorry that you're experiencing this, let us make it up to you. So it's how you can start to build into this customer service, right? Then you know how to handle these red flag customers or even avoid them. So if they start to say something like, I just want the best of the line technology, it has to make me look amazing and make me billions of dollars, unrealistic expectations, those are the things that you need to be aware of. And this is very crucial for branding. And it's okay to say no thank you to someone who does not align with you. It's okay to not have your product sell to millions and millions and millions of people if they're not going to experience that value you want them to experience that. So stop trying to sell to everybody and sell to the right people. It takes time, but the more you get into it, you'll start to enjoy it and you really feel connected to people. So with knowing your goals, you want to make sure you know what you're trying to accomplish. So let's say you want to find more fulfilling work. You want to find better clients. You want to make more sales. Who here wants to make more sales? I hope everybody, right? Yes. You want to grow a community and obviously brand recognition. But the thing is that when we start to tailor our content and try to create some sort of graphic or visual promotion, we cannot use all of these elements to communicate that in one area. You have to pick. You have to have a goal in mind. So let's say you want to do a campaign that is going to give you some sort of awareness for a particular initiative that you're doing. Then you focus your efforts on that. You can't tell them, oh, we have this campaign and it's going to help with kids over on the other side of the world, give them shoes. Oh, but guess what? We like to play tambourines on the side and we have salsa lessons on the weekend. But then you devalue the efforts of that campaign, right? So you have to have a goal in place. If you're trying to generate more sales, don't just go and talk about the product feature, right? So product features are typically, when it comes to sales, it's easier. Oh, this product is going to allow you to click seamlessly through presentations and it's very reliable. Someone else can do that too. Tell me a better story, right? Tell me a story that really can impact and I can feel connected with. So let's say, for instance, there is an organization here that provides roadside assistance to people and there's a lot of veterans that work there. There's a family that one day got stuck and the little baby was very sick. It was super cold. They were out in Dallas. It was snowing. Mom didn't have any more food and they were stuck with a flat tire and who knows what else happened to their car. In comes this guy, helps them, but he noticed the family was in need. So what does he do? He calls one of the other guys who do the roadside assistance. They go take the dad, get some food, warm coffee, bring it to them, there goes the story, right? So you can take something so simple as a service, but look into the stories of the people that are impacted by that and share those stories. Because that makes your brand look very different than someone else. Oh yeah, roadside assistance, great. Hey, I was in bind. And these are all part of people who are part of your brand, right? Your brand extension points. So, captivating with intention. Consistency is key. You want to leverage social media, and there have been some amazing talks about social media, so I'm not going to focus on that. But because I've worked with LinkedIn, I know this was a particular interest, so I do want to focus a little bit on that. That'll be our focus for that one. And you want to connect through emotion. Obviously, if you guys haven't told, I'm really passionate about the emotional side of branding. Consistency is essential to your brand reputation and recognition. Remember, I've been talking about this, how every little element matters. Your brand personality, like I said, you don't want to show up one day, yo, what's up? Hi, I'm Nick today. You want to really be consistent. And this goes along with the way that you post your content, right? The images that you share. It's okay to be raw and authentic. I had one of the questions from someone that had messaged me when I messaged them asking them what type of content they should share, whether it's personal or what's the line to draw, right? When you have your company. So that's an amazing question, and a lot of brands struggle with that when they're trying to share their personal connection to the brand mission. You have to think about, does this really align with my brand values? Is this going to share something that infuses into why I'm doing what I'm doing? Again, showing it. And if it is, share that. If it doesn't, then maybe you just keep that for your friends, right? So think about if this is going to be something of value and ties into the emotions behind our brand, great. Your visual consistency and any extension of your brand are incredibly important. Any extension of your brand can be your employees, like I mentioned that. As you grow, think big, you guys. You may just have a couple people here joining you in the future in your company, but they're an extension of your brand. So, brand management requires your constant awareness, assessment, and action. I've done big rebrands, and the problem is that once you have that rebrand, maintaining that, and as you're creating new content, can be a struggle, especially if you don't have someone within your team to handle that. It can be very difficult. So you have to make sure you adhere to what's been created, but also be aware what's working, what's not working. Now, let's talk about LinkedIn. So, LinkedIn is, we need to shift how we think about LinkedIn, right? So this is an area where we connect with professionals like ourselves, right? This is where we can find more of our ideal customers and people who value our products and services. But so many people use LinkedIn as a way to collect people or someone who's going to make a sale, and that's not how we need to think about. We really need to think about creating these connections with people. Stop collecting people. It's not like one of those speed dating networking things where you're just like, hi, LinkedIn, oh. That's how people treat LinkedIn. And LinkedIn has been growing and shifting so much. Now is the time for you guys to get out there, but we need to do it intentionally and strategically. So what are some things that you can do to get the best out of LinkedIn? So let's say we connect on LinkedIn and I saw some of the content that you were posting or sharing and I wanted to connect with you. So what's your name?
Francisco.
Francisco. So I connected with Francisco, I saw some of the content. What do you do?
Air conditioning and heating.
Okay, great. I love that. So let's say you had shared a story about a family who their air conditioner broke and mom was just at home and it's in the middle of the Texas heat and you shared like, hey, I went in, I was able to help mom feels so great. Oh, I love that. You know what? I know someone that needs some of your help. Hey, Francisco, I saw what you posted. I'd love to recommend you to someone. Great. That's how you can build that connection. Now, once you share a video with someone, please, you guys, don't do it while you're driving in the car, not just for the safety nets of it, but also tell people you're sharing that you're just so busy you cannot sit for 2 seconds in a nice calm place to send them a video, right? So when people think that, they can do that themselves and it may not matter, right? But if someone who's trying to do business with you in the future, you do, I'm so busy on the road, oh hey, I just want to send you a quick video. It doesn't tell you that you have that time. We all can have 5 seconds in a nice quiet place. I can send Francisco a video afterwards, nice calm quiet place, right? So think about that. That's a great way to stand out on LinkedIn when you connect with someone. Once you do, you want to engage in their content when it makes sense. You don't want to just say, cool, nice post. You genuinely engage. This is a great way for you to get free research. You want to study the content that they're putting and the content that they're engaging in. Because what it means is that you can see some of that content that they're constantly engaging in and see if you need to share some of that type of content, right? You want to share your most valuable content as native videos and articles. So if you use videos on other platforms or social media, make sure you post them natively on LinkedIn. What happens, you're going to get more people to see it. When you just share the link, you don't get as many views. So you want to post it natively. If you're writing a blog post, you want to repurpose it for LinkedIn. Change the copy around, give a few more value points. You can even include a link to take them back to your own blog post. When you do that, instead of just sharing directly from your blog content, you'll get more views that way. And one of the things that I've done throughout the years, as much as I have a print background and I love paper, but I've stopped bringing business cards because I just tell people, hey, let's connect on LinkedIn. Because what happens is sometimes people collect business cards, especially in an area where we're networking, and you don't know, you don't remember the face. I'm great with faces, bad with names, and I'm okay if you guys butcher my name, right? But LinkedIn and connecting that way gives you a direct access to that person, and you say, hey, it's so great to meet you at such and such place. I had a great time with the conversation that we had. Leave a value point for something that you guys engaged in or the conversation you had. When it comes to our bio, we're so eager to share with the world what we do that sometimes we say, I'm a mom, I'm a school teacher, I'm a yoga instructor, I like to paint on the side, and I eat pineapples. Obviously no one puts that on LinkedIn, but we listen so much because we want to share our value, right? But what happens is that a lot of people do that. So how are you going to stand from someone else who's saying a graphic designer, right? So I needed to do something different, right? So I want to share with you guys some great examples. James says, helping the world learn. That's his bio description. That's what he does. Ooh, James, tell me more about what you do. I really want to know what you do. Because then you start to pique that interest, right? Then you look at Kristen, helping creative professionals get the skills they need in today's job market. Ooh, I want to get more skills for my job market. What is it that you do, Kristen? Or how about dance? We provide a safe and fun play environment for your dog while you're at work or play. So people who have dogs who have to go to work and feel bad about leaving their dog like 10, 12 hours a day, hey Dan, man, that sounds like such a great plan, and I do not mean to make that rhyme, but you really want to think about how can you make your bio different to someone else's, because then you can pique their interest, and you want to have people have that interest. I may not have a dog, let's say, but I know someone that could really use dance services. Again, this is how we build these connections on LinkedIn. So when you guys are doing that, be very intentional, and you can use LinkedIn to talk about your brand and using these emotional values in a strategic way. So remember, you want to engage in your content. Video is king. If you do video, try to have the captions. There's someone that you guys should really follow on LinkedIn. Her name is Goldie Chan. She's called the LinkedIn of Oprah, or Oprah of LinkedIn. She did a daily video for 2 years on LinkedIn. And that made her to get like millions of views, a lot of followers, but she just was there to share value. She wasn't there to sell anything, and she's worked with some amazing major brands. But she was out there just to share value. She had captions in her videos, and she just was posting it every single day. Again, this is the consistency. If you're gonna say you're gonna do this, commit to it, find the time, and do it, and be consistent. You will see results. So, when we connect through emotion, you don't want to think about your community about numbers. Oh, I got 1 million followers. That's not followers, you guys. It's community. Focus on community, on people you want to connect with, people you want to empower. Numbers can matter if you're trying to be of influence or show how many people follow you, but at the end of the day, who's connecting with you? Who's feeling connected to the content or the products or services that you're offering? You want to respond to comments? This is particularly for social media. If you post something, respond, people. Yes, like engage in a conversation. This is an opportunity to engage and talk and get to know people. This is how I've been able to get to know a lot of people. And since I move around a lot, I've built a lot of friends on social media, and then I get to meet them, and it's like I have known them for forever. because we started with those conversations. You want to make people feel like they matter. Again, listen to what they're saying. If someone shares a story, and if you feel connected to them, comment. Okay, here's the part that I get super excited about. Brand continuity. Why design matters. And you want to make sure you create brand consistency. So, why design matters. Consumers can make a choice from an array of products. Let's say you go shopping, and you can look at all these packages, you look at fonts, colors, subconsciously or consciously, you're making a choice in less than 90 seconds. Right? So you can go into stores like, oh no, I don't like this. You're buying some cologne, ooh, that looks weird, it smells funny. You look into all these senses, right? 80% of brands are recognized by color alone, right? So everyone can tell that that little icon there is McDonald's, right? So brand recognition, right? We're thinking about Starbucks and their coffees, and yes, they do pull out the red ones for the holidays. Color is so connected to the brand. 51% of business-to-business marketers are really wanting to create more priority for their visual content. The reason why? Everyone's trying to promote their work, right? Everyone's doing it. What does that mean? You need to have more intention. You need to have more strategy as you do that. And 40% of buyers need to see a product or service 3 to 5 times before they decide to buy. That makes you think you need to be consistent and you need to keep putting your brand out there. But when you do it with intention and you look into those emotional values, people will remember you better than if it's just like, hey, I just sell shoes. And sometimes we'll send them to other kids on the other side of the world, right? If I were to share that brand story like that, no one would want to buy, right? But then you share and you connect people. You see, no one here is marketing to robots. And if you are, please tell me how you're doing that, right? We're marketing to people. We're people behind trying to do business with other people. There's no denying that we connect with visual first. Whether you need to or you don't, you look at things, you look at products, you look at people. You guys are kind of like, damn, Nikki just has too much color. I don't know if I can keep looking at her. It's just going to be too much for me, right? And it's okay if you guys make those are your first impressions of people. We all do it whether we want to or not. And that's why your visuals matter. But you need to be intentional and strategic about these visuals. So the right visuals can take you away, make your brand very overwhelmed, or it can give you clarity. So we bring back to that example of Marshall Dimes where I was trying to create this graphic where I want to just share everything about that and the impact on severe prematurity for parents and trying to have all this life-saving and how you can work and how you can be part of your brand and blah, 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 right? We get so excited because we're so passionate about what we do. And what happens is we show something like that, no one's going to want to read that, especially on social media where people are just like, I just want to go on to the next thing. If you're overwhelming people instead of telling your story, you're losing people. So you can simplify things. I think the color is a little less contrasty here, but you can see some of the type. You can use bigger type, and you can use one image. You can use video. Don't make it so busy for people. Simplify for people to where it's easy for them to understand. You don't want to use big industry lingo, because if I was to sit here and talk to you about kerning and color composition, I would lose you guys. Because that's not, you guys want to know how is this going to help me? That's what I want to know, right? That's how people will buy. They want to know what's in it for them. So you need to simplify it in a way that makes it easy for them to understand and learn. When we use 100 million different types of fonts, we show up like this. We show up with a mishmash of everything that's confused. It's like this crazy cow with an eagle head. I don't know what they're about, right? So this is your first impression of the brand. You're not going to trust that person. It's like, I don't know what they're trying to sell me, right? So what happens is fonts, right? Your typefaces, these are all connected to your brand personality, right? So if you're using a specific type of font, you want to make sure you keep it to 2 or 3 and keep it consistent. You can have some variations if you run a specific campaign, but you need to consider this consistency. It aligns with your brand personality. And if you use fonts that are so hard to read, again, you're going to lose them. You want to create an experience for people with your visuals. The fastest way to connect or disconnect with an audience can be through your visuals. And this is why design matters. So I mentioned I'm a military spouse. And I won't mention names of the brand, but I don't know if anyone is military affiliated or is familiar with some of the regulations. no military member is allowed to have a beard, a full-on beard, right? This image, I know what stock imagery it's from, was purchased from there. And you're trying to target the specific demographic, the specific audience, literally right outside of the base. My husband told me that that billboard was a nonstop talk of the base, and not in a good way, right? This is a brand that's trying to tailor and sell to military veterans and their families, but yet they can't do the right research to know that this is not right. And what happens? Your brand reputation is harmed. I know a lot of people said, I don't want to do business with them. There's some people within that community that are so ingrained and connected with that to them it's an insult, right? So it's having that awareness of what your visuals are and how that can completely shift your brand is so crucial and important. So if you are purchasing stock imagery, please do your research, please, because this can happen and I don't want that for anybody. The ideal is to hire a brand photographer, and I know there's some here, and there's so many in San Antonio. Have them take photos of your brand. Make it branded to your own. When you own it, it's your people. There's so much more power in that versus stock. I get stock. It helps. You have to be very careful using stock. The raw elements can harm your brand perception. So if you're looking to using these visuals, and this is the type of content that you're using with cheesy images that just don't align with you, very random things, let's say you are trying to help people through the depression, right? You use images of a day that's really sad. I'm only gonna feel more depressed by looking at that content, right? Someone who's going through depression, when you understand their emotion, they wanna feel better, right? They wanna feel happier. And when you're sharing those images with them, it does nothing for them. Except, yes, it does bring emotions, but it brings emotions to the wrong side. So you can have images of people in that state of mind that they want to be in, and then have your copy tell more of a story. How they can get better, how they can improve, to really help them feel understood, right? You want to have consistency as you use your visuals. You don't want to show up looking one way like this, and then another way like that. You want to make sure that your branding is consistent across the board. When you have the right visual elements, they help you create emotion, right? They help you create synergy. There are certain tones and hues and colors that are here in this set here that seems to look similar. But what's really great about these images here is that it's not people like posing and like doing, when we go about our day, we don't go about our day just like, hey, let me just stand like this. No, right? We just move, we talk, we engage. That's the type of imagery that connects with people more. So you see those images here of those family members with a dad holding a little kid and mom's playing with a little kid. Those are great, right? Because they're not posing. It seems like they're in the moment, and it feels more authentic and raw in the best way. So many brands fail to leverage the emotional triggers connected to colors. This is something that I'm sure you guys can't tell that I love color, but this is something that I'm so passionate about because so many brands don't realize the power behind color. So, the colors have shifted, but as you can see, these brand colors do not align with some of these. But what matters is that you guys are already so familiar with these brands that you know what their colors are, right? Just from immediately looking at them. Because they've been so intentional and consistent about the brand colors that once you see something, oh, this one's like a brown color, this one's a pink, and this one's a blue, right? So, you know, McDonald's here doesn't use this color, Instagram here doesn't use this color, and what is this one? Right? Yes. So I'm glad someone's paying attention. So you can see how you can tell that, you know, the Twitter logo is not like that, right? So I only use this for an example. You're not supposed to finish with brands and their colors. You're supposed to follow their guidelines. So if anyone's using that for social media and switching it to brand colors, you cannot do that. So make sure you read their guidelines. That was my side tip. But it was just to share with you guys a little insight into what color can do. Color is so much more than a pretty palette. It connects with cultural traditions, it can have a religious significance, it can connect to age and gender. There can be new trends that pop up that may really be influencing your brand and association with particular campaigns you run, personal influence. This one's tricky. You cannot brand and expect that your brand is going to connect with someone. Let's say I wear pink, but someone just feels like, ooh, pink. That reminds me of when I was sick. I was very, very sick and I had severe virus flu and I was always drinking Pepto-Bismol and just looking at her just makes me sick to the stomach, right? These are personal connections that we have to color. You can't always gauge and know what people might think, but being aware can help you, because if that's something that everyone starts to feel, I think that's where you start to reconsider things. Color is a universal language. It can be applied to increase sales. So people use specific colors for call to actions on websites, right? Or even campaigns. As you brand yourself, there's color therapy in hospitals. In that area where people are healing, there's specific colors that are used to help heal people. You can use it in immersive experiences. You guys, I'm sure some of you have been to those pop-up places where it's all about color and you take those photos for Instagram and social media. That's huge now, but color has been around for decades. When we started communicating, we didn't start talking. We started doing cave paintings. We started using colors and shapes. That's our first form of communication. Before we talk, before we speak, before we read. That is so crucial. So medical labeling, that's very important. They use different types of colors for different labels so that people can see you want to take this pill, take this pill. That's huge. Warning signs, that makes it universal. We all know the stop signs are red and it has a specific shape. That's across the world, right? Those are so powerful, and sometimes we don't think about these when we work with a brand. This is a guide that I have, and it's just a sample page. You guys can download it for free. It's on my website. Every year I put it out, and it's based on the Pantone color of the year. I give you guys some insight on the color trend and how you can complement it with other colors. Here's the thing. When we talk about colors that say blue, and a lot of corporate brands are blue because it talks about trust. But why do you need to go with blue if everyone's doing that? Does it make sense with your brand, right? And if you complement it with another color, let's say pink, that'll change the perception of the brand. So that's why color is so important. And I don't want to spend so much time on that because I know that guide, you guys can download it and get some insight, and it's new every year. You get some color palettes or some templates that you can use to get you thinking about these emotional triggers that are connected to these colors. So I can't specifically tell you yellow means joy, blue means trust, because it can be different. It's quite different to industries. It can have a different meaning. So that's a little bit more of an example of the color trends guide. To develop brand continuity, you want to make sure every single touch point of your brand has consistency, right? Your messaging, your visual identity, your digital presence, your marketing, all these need to work together. It's a lot of work, but if you start small, especially if you guys are just starting, I don't know if anyone started their business in like a year or less. Okay, great. So in the starting points, you have a big advantage because you can start to be intentional as you're growing your brand and not try to do everything. When you have a big corporation or organization, a rebrand takes a long time because you have to see what components need to be shifted and need to be changed. So be very intentional about how your brand is carried across the board. We can start with a simple brand mark like this, with some design elements, and you can build your brand to add more visual identity. You build that consistency. You start to build that awareness. You use specific colors, use specific type, you use specific imagery that aligns with that brand. And you start to create what we call a brand guideline. Now, it's not a one sheet where it says, here's your logo, here's the colors, here's the font, that's it. You want more. And it's not just a style guide. So a comprehensive brand guideline is like 30 pages or more. Giant corporations have 100+ pages. But essentially tells you what your voice is, right? What types of words are you using to communicate with your brand? It aligns with your marketing strategy and it gives you a visual guide. So as you bring in employees, this is something that you definitely want to share and have in place. Because then it saves you a lot of time from explaining this is what brand is about, these are brand colors. This is why we use specific brand colors to elicit certain emotions, right? So for me, one of my brand colors is yellow. When I talk about something that's yellow in my brand, and with the bold colors I have, I want it to be vibrant and energetic and happy, right? But yellow can also be used for something sick and droopy. So you have to be intentional with how you use that and have these. Having this in place is going to be really helpful for you. You can start with a simple brand mark, like one of these rebrands that I did for a nonprofit organization, and you see everything together. These elements are all different. They're from packaging, a t-shirt, some of these printed flyers, they have specific events. When you see it all, they are different, right? But they still all make sense together. You can see there's elements that are tied in, there's some colors, there's specific illustration styles, there's specific imagery. It all comes together. So as you're building your brand and having this consistency, Think about how they come together. You can almost put all your stuff up in, let's say, if you use a Trello board or some sort of thing, or if you want to print, I'm very conscious about wasting so much paper, but you can put every single element or every single printed or type of digital documentation that you're using for your brand and put them together and see how they look together. This will really help you get a good idea of what gaps don't fit with your brand, what maybe needs to be adjusted, and as you're rebranding or just adjusting, you're able to see that and use that for your own benefit. Here's another example of a brand guidelines where you kind of look at the print samples, where they're to be used, what you can do with the logo, what size constraints you have for your logo. Those are so important, and sometimes brands don't think about that, especially as you're starting your business or you're starting to grow so fast, and you're hiring, and people are creating your content. This is going to be crucial for you, because that way you don't harness a bad brand reputation because of the lack of consistency. This is super, super important. See, our experiences can create powerful stories that connect and captivate with our audience. I hope that you leave thinking about deeper ways that you can really engage and connect with your audience. And for those of you that were wondering about that little miracle, as yet, that's my son. And he's doing great. We have some developmental stuff we're working through, but when you share a brand story that's aligned with you, make sure it's intentional. Thank you guys so much.